Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Lucid, and we're back with new casting. So I've got Robzia with me,
Hello.
and last episode we had some kind of cool things happen. Probably the coolest of which was the Bronze Colossus got yeeted by just province defense. He just couldn't quite kill him fast enough, and yeah,
I missed that one.
right. We'll see what we got a message from Lemuria, the owner of the PD defense, and Abysia, the owner of the Bronze Colossus. So we'll see what they say. Finally was annoying. Uh, finally was annoying to get Abysia to peace out this turn. Favorable borders for them, but 36, 43, 34 line from me with an Nap 3 as well. Braver Souls would fight that war, though fight that war through, but it's costly. I feel like as long as I navigate Diplo to not get into an XV1 and get to work on infrastructure, site searching, and chill, I'll be in a great position. Not getting an anti-Ghost Coalition vibe so far. Agartha is open to a non-aggression pact. Ulm, also even if they're non-committal. Bit worried that if Phalegra might exit the Kalem cap party situation with the biggest plans and be pretty threatening neighbor. Okay, so he's worried about Phalegra attacking him. From Abysia, he says, Lemuria's convinced me to avoid a grindy war of attrition, which I don't really have the patient stomach for anyway, and we made peace. The other thing, Robzia, was that he had an army camping on Lemuria's capital. He had a few gems left for fire elementals, but everybody was starving. They hadn't really gotten a ton of diseases yet, but it was in rough shape, and it wasn't anywhere close to cracking Lemuria's cap.
Yeah, and starving on Lemuria is not good when they have all those heroes to throw at you.
Right. Ctis appears to have left Discord, so Diplo will have to be via in-game message with them. I'm feeling out Agartha for a defensive agreement in case one of us is next on the menu for Jomon. Perhaps I can use peace to get a real blood economy going. And an addendum, also rest in peace, General Gerald Ford, victim of some weird turn timer nonsense. Yeah. Okay. So let's take a look. Wait, do we have a message from Jomon? Oh. From Jomon, first turn of war went well enough. Many Ashigaru died, but farmers are easily enough trained with spears. The more annoying part is collecting them after they run. I can go further in my reasoning for picking a war with Bogarus later, but when I saw their expansion strategy, I knew they were going to be my biggest challenge, at least on my border. I spent a lot of time figuring out what to do about their ethereal troops, elementals, ninjas. In the end, we're hoping Earth Meld and Sleep Clouds are enough. I wasn't expecting their full-sized air elementals. Unfortunately, we're still working on counters, but safe to say it'll be a fun challenge to work out. I've been quiet for a while. I'll try to keep you updated. Hope I've been somewhat entertaining. Jomon out. P.S. Master Shugenjas are quickly becoming one of my favorite mages. Only second to Sarumancers. Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. We didn't see him mention foul vapors since we immediately identified that as a potential threat, at least poison in general, to the
Oh, to
Bogarus strategy.
Bogarus. Yeah. I was gonna say, yeah. He doesn't have to worry about foul vapors from Bogarus, but yeah, okay, so let's start with Lemuria and Abysia. So the capital's cleaned out. I want to see what provinces he said. But the 36 43 line. Okay. So basically he's going to get this stuff, but I think this goes to Lemuria. So basically, it's going to be an entirely favorable border for Lemuria, but these provinces, which already have their population killed, will... I'm sorry, an entirely favorable border for Abysia, but the provinces which already are basically nuked from population will stay with Lemuria. Yeah, these are all still healthy, so I can see why Abysia wants them.
And what did Lemuria say about their neighbors who could attack them?
We'll take a look. Not right now, baby. My dog is wanting to play. Oh, he
I'm only
loses this throne to the trolls. So
interesting.
he's worried about Phalegra attacking him. I think Gartha seemed open to a non-aggression pact.
Yeah, and
Ulm
what
seems...
about Ulm? He seemed non-committal.
Oh.
I don't know about that one.
I don't know about that one. That might have been some like, hey, don't worry about it. I'm about to attack you bullshit. Ulm loses a shit ton of stuff here. Lemuria must have had a lot of PD or something. What's going on?
They did a lot of heavy cascading.
Yeah, Lemuria is doing some banishment. How did they lose so much stuff? Oh, it's the crossbows. Because these crossbows are going to shoot them while there's a little bit of skelly spam as they kind of blink forward.
Yeah. A little more attrition than you would want, although that's not PD that Lemuria is going to be able to put back, maybe ever, right? Because once they pop kill down a province,
Right.
they don't have the population to support PD anymore.
So the mechanics there are kind of interesting, right? So if you're pop basically, so if this province has, well, let's go to a small one. So this one has 1,700 population. That means you can support, I believe, is it 17 PD?
I believe it's every 10, actually. So
Oh, so, okay.
they
You
can,
think, yeah.
yeah, max out there, but if you go to the one
Yeah.
just north, like, that's 23
Well,
in the 130, 20 there, so.
I'm not
They're
sure
all,
if you can have 95 here. I kind of want to test that. But
I believe so.
so imagine population gets really low. You couldn't put more PD there. There's an exception to that, which is once you have a fort there, you can have as much PD as you want. So,
I didn't have an exception. That's
right.
interesting.
So if you have a PD dump, one of the things you kind of want to do as Lemuria is try to get a fort up before the PD dies from the population dying, right? Like, if you wait for the population to die, your PD number will actually go down every turn. And then if you build a fort, it doesn't like magically come back. You have to reinvest in it. But if you put the fort up before the PD dies, you get to keep it. So anyway. But yeah, let's look at what they're attacking him with here. This is much cleaner, but I don't think they have... Like, these guys don't have magic weapons.
They have solar weapons, which is...
Oh, that's true. Which is going to work on the hoof, too. Well, magic weapons would work on the hoof as well. Yeah.
Now, body ethereal just means that it doesn't do damage, but the hit still goes off, right? So solar weapons should still go off.
Yes, solar weapons will go through body ethereal. But it doesn't make the rest of the hit go through body ethereal. It just the solar weapons. Yeah.
Which would be 9 AP.
Right. I mean, that's going to mess up ghosts pretty good. But I think that, I think a shield block might still block it for the most part.
Maybe, yeah.
He gets attacked by a dark vine here. I've never seen that event before. What event was that?
I noticed quite a few indie events in our little message log.
You're right.
So there might have been a throne claim that maybe...
Yeah, we can check that out. See if there's one of the aggressive ones. Throne of the first stage, Throne of Life, Throne of Misfortune. I don't think any of those generate attacks.
Do we know which one Jomon lost?
We can probably check.
Because it would be ironic if they claimed the throne.
Throne of Fire.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
I don't actually really like this move from Ulm.
It only makes sense if he thinks Abysia is still fighting.
Right.
Because if Abysia is on Lemuria's cap, then that move makes sense. Right? Call in the boys. Let's have a big coalition. Their cap's already under siege. We just lock down the other forts, and that's just a time. But Abysia made peace this turn, so suddenly Ulm is 1v1ing Lemuria.
The problem here, I think, is that these knights are sacred, so they're vulnerable to apostasy. he doesn't have enough. Like, Lemuria has enough ghosts here. He could straight up probably just fight him and probably win. Like, just take a big army battle, right?
Yeah.
And he's potentially also vulnerable to some kind of bullshit with the Lich Queen or console bullshit. Like, these armies are probably thuggable. So, if they're like solar rays and stuff will fuck consoles up really good. So, if there was like a bigger mage commitment, then like, yeah, maybe this could work. But I don't know. I don't think this is a great move from Ulm if Lemuria calls his bluff and is like, okay, let's go. But I think like if Ulm was like fully committed, mobilized their mage core. This is kind of the wrong mage, by the way, the fortune tellers. You kind of want the members of the second tier or whatever they are.
The Astral 2 guys.
Yeah, and you want them doing solar rays. And those solar rays fucks up ghosts. Let's take a look at that spell real quick.
Yeah, Evo 2, so very easy to access
Right.
too.
It's 12 armor piercing damage, and it's area of effect 1. So this will just delete a square of ghosts. But furthermore, consoles is really hard to tank. Like you have to be 24 protection to reduce it to chip damage. And if you have like 4 or 5 of these going off,
Yeah, it's 100 precision, so
right.
it's pretty good at missing.
So, there's a bunch of things, but
Yeah, my concern as well was how is he supposed to even break a fort with what he's bringing?
yeah, I mean, fortunately, Ulm has nature access, so he could, if the turn's right, or turn 45, he could have bags of wine or something. So,
Yeah, but I mean, look at how many ghosts there are. If are in one province, he's not going to break the fort no matter how much supply he brings.
Right. Are there forts going up he could knock down? There's a fort going up here he might be able to get to. That would be significant, I guess. I just don't see how he's... The thing is, like, you don't want to fight somebody... You don't want to fight Lemuria if you can't kill them if they group up. Like, if you can't kill them Lemurian Doomstack, what are you doing?
If he has all his sacreds in one spot, I think they can kill a lot of ghosts. Because the ghosts are going to be doing negligible damage. So I don't know how well they would work against the mages at the...
if he had anti-magic too, that would be another thing that would swing me. And it's totally something he could or should have. But like these guys are 10 MR. Apostasy is going to ruin these guys. Like if he comes in with 400 or 500 ghosts, which he easily could do, and like 6 or 7 apostasy casters, it's going to be fucking ugly. I think he has a pin bonus on his bless too.
I do have a question. What happens to the bless once apostasy goes off?
That's a good question. I think it resets. I'm actually not positive.
Does it switch, or do you get both?
God, I don't know. Should we find out? No, we'll do it some other time. Somebody put in the comments. I'm actually playing a single player game against I'll pull it up real quick. This will be a preview of what's going up on the channel. Because I'm sure this video will go up before that, but we're playing against a map full of impossible AI as Lemuria, and I put all the nations with magic weapons in here, and I got 3v1 coalitioned by Vetiheim, Late Age Kalem, and Raga, because Raga has the birds with magic weapons. It's been an exciting battle. But,
that is the largest Jomon Doomstack I have ever seen.
Oh yeah, God. Yeah, Jomon's decided to help me in killing Raga, which I
was pretty happy about. Gets progressively deeper on stacks the further back they go.
Yeah.
The guys in front are so many that they're blocking the light for the guys in the back.
Right, that is happening, actually. I didn't know that. That must be coded into this into the graphic display. But yeah, I don't exactly know why I decided to show you guys that, but on turn 25.
Easier for what's coming.
Yeah.
I think we can see Lemuria's Bless also because he took a province back with a consul, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it was a penetration and reforming flesh. I think it was pretty similar to like a bless I've used before. Yeah, pen, reforming flesh, recuperation. This basically is a bless. This is, I think, this is probably the bless I would run. It's pretty close to the bless I ran in that game I just showed you, actually. I went a bit deeper into the paint. I sacrificed luck scales, went a little bit harder on the bless, but
yeah. So with pen, he's rolling what, like 9 versus 10?
Yeah,
Because
it's I think it's the same kind of roll as like Enslaved Mind. So it's is it easily negates? No, it's not. It's
Yeah,
just MR negates.
but I believe apostasy is.
Is it? Let me check. I'm gonna pause. Okay, so we went and checked, and as Abysias said, it is a MR easily negates, which probably explains why it never fucking works. But
Well, 10 MR versus 9 pen is not great if you're Ohm. It's pretty close to even, which is not where you want to be when every cast loses to a sacred.
right, yeah, it's a check. So normally, like an MR check is normally verse 12. MR easily negates is a check against 8, so it's pretty easy to pass it. But yeah, I think this fight happened though in Lemurian Dominion, so they're getting -1 pen from the magic scales, so it's 9, and then with apostasy, it's effectively 8. So 50% of the time you steal one of their sacred units is basically what the math would come out
They have
to.
M1 on those guys.
Right.
From
Oh,
the
they
blast.
do for the bless.
Yes.
Okay, so it would be like what, 40-something% of the time, 42% or something, thereabouts.
Which is not great.
I mean, it's great for Lemuria. It's not great for Ulm. Yeah. This is the other thing. This is why, like, if you're gonna attack Lemuria, anti-magic is kind of core. Like, it makes such a big difference. Not only is apostasy not going to work as much if that's something they're relying on, but all their attacks get reduced to half damage if you pass an MR check.
Yes, because of the spectral weaponry. So
right.
You always magic resistance.
Right. So just having, like, this is kind of like, if I don't see somebody cast an anti-magic and him having like a battery of like 5 solar rays casters plus one guy, some death mage on advancing cast to do dust to dust, like, what are you doing? And he needs supply items. You just don't casually march into Lemuria. I mean, you can casually knock them off and like trade your units for ghosts, but we'll see what he does. If he marches in and sits on top of a fort, it's like, come on, dude. You're not ready for this. But this is an exciting column. This has been kind of cool. Coming over to Calum. Calum has pushed back here and caught some Ctisian forces. A bit of a PD dump.
We don't know when he put that up, though. He might have... That might be left over from when he was securing ground in the first place. And apparently he left some troops behind when he ran away.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think... well, he got bounced on the cap, so I think this is a remnant of the cap bounce.
They retreated, and he never picked them up.
Right. And Bogarus has decided... Okay, so actually... There were a lot of subs in this game so far. I think we're currently on like turn 45 or 50. There are like 4 subs. So the ctis player subbed out. I think the Bogarus player subbed out at this point too. So we now have a sub for ctis because they're upset that they bounced on top of ctis's Calum's cap. And Bogarus is upset they're getting backstabbed by Jomon. I think I played this Bogarus turn because I was like, okay, let's get these fuckers off the cap. So I think I played this Bogarus turn and reset the password for the player. And I think I wrote out here with some of the stuff we had. I don't think it went very well because the Earth Snake showed up. But like, what are we gonna do? These guys were trapped inside a fort. Or maybe I don't think I scripted this actually. Maybe I.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff. Is that PD?
I don't think I scripted this, but I'm not sure.
Wow, there was
No,
oh,
this isn't PD, I don't think. I think this was a proper army. But we'll check.
the air elementals caused a big rout there,
Yeah.
pretty quick.
And the Shark Warriors have just barely held up. If he got the Shark Warriors to rout, he probably would have caused an HP rout and been fine.
What was
But,
on the?
oh, it was PD.
Yeah, there was so much lower quality stuff there. I thought it might be.
He got 4 of the Master Shugenjas, though.
Yeah, that's the air elementals coming in clutch. And how many mages did Bogarus lose?
Just 1.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So not a really horrible trade. He lost some Alia Drazina and a lot of PD, but I don't know what his tech is. Maybe Bogarus didn't sub it. Honestly, I can't fully remember. It was kind of a while ago when it happened, but it's kind of just lost in the blur of all the different people that have subbed out on this game. But
yeah,
I don't remember if he has flaming arrows, because flaming arrows would have been fucking clutch here. Because you had 40-something boy archers, and if they had flaming arrows, they would have punished I think they would have caused an HP rout for Jomon.
Yeah. What did he cast on the Earth Snake? I'm actually curious about that.
Let's take a look.
See, it had Moss Body at least on it.
Yeah. I thought I had luck too.
I think it might have
Giants, Legions of Steel, summon Earth Power.
I think he just
Moss Body.
Right.
Legions of Steel, Strength of Giants, summon Earth Power. Okay. Look at it, it's already at 75 fatigue. Cold-blooded coming through.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he was just casting Moss Body, I guess.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think the Malaya Drazina actually sniped a few of those mages at the end there.
Yeah.
I said it was the air elemental, but I don't think it was.
Let's watch that again. I haven't. Okay, so we'll see right where the what these guys actually do. They're summoning air elementals. They're doing body ethereal and luck with these calendologists. Yeah, the air elementals working their way through this. A few of them are landing here. Yeah, this Master Shugenja's probably in trouble.
One died there. There's still 3 left.
And then these guys are running down the flanks.
Oh, there's a Master Shugenja running away.
This was so close. If he just had twice as many air elementals, that could have swung it too. That or flaming arrows would have been really clutch. But I think this is a fight. And this kind of thing, like, it's so easy to say, like, oh, so-and-so attacked so-and-so. The outcome was inevitable. Like, of course Jomon was going to win. Like, a little better preparation here, maybe a little better scripting, maybe a couple more mages. Bogarus could have won this fight.
I agree. Yeah, it was a close fight.
Coming down here, we have a Ryujin. He's been... you would be very proud of him, Robsy. He has so many fucking Ryujin. It is ridiculous.
Light gear.
Yeah.
Although with 1 PD, it's not a...
Yeah. I don't think he's... Okay, this is the first one I've seen him lose. Last turn, I think he had, I want to say, 5 or 6 Ryujin running around raiding.
See, an air elemental will absolutely kill a Ryujin.
Yeah.
And then he get Lance.
Yeah.
He finishes script, or he just isn't tough enough.
Let's see what he had. So this was yeah. This was pretty...
But he just loses the Moss Body instantly. He doesn't have the protection.
Yeah, he would have... Oh, no, Barkskin wouldn't have helped. He needed Liquid Body, probably, rather than Personal Regen. But, he probably would have... I don't know if he would have gotten Personal Regen off. He probably would have died.
Yeah. It's pretty likely that the air elemental probably doesn't go through Moss Body, but...
Right.
Yeah, it's just too many heavy cav.
Yeah.
He gets chipped around the Moss Body at the beginning anyway, so...
Yeah, so that was a good anticipatory move. Patala's attacking.
Yeah, and then gets attacked by Ronin. Interesting.
Yeah.
It's not a great position to be in if you're Bogarus. Right? It wasn't awful turn, but the overall situation gets a lot worse.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like, okay, let's look at the good things and the bad things. The good things of the Bogarus position is he probably still has a sizable mage core. We don't exactly know what his tech is, but he has elementals. He's cold, so the Earth Snake is going to be basically cannon fodder, right? Like, as long as you have whatever it is, enough mages on advancing cast that can chip through him, like, you'll be able to kill the Earth Snake.
He has at least Alteration 4 and Conjuration 5.
Right.
So that's okay. He has a lot of Malia Dragina left. They're a little spread out at the moment, but there's a
Right.
pretty decent block in the capital.
The thing that's gonna, I think it's not that hard to imagine how Bogarus holds his cap. You coordinate with ctis, you pull these guys back, and you say, hey, I'm gonna come back and fight. Can we have peace? You get these guys back. In a turn or two, these guys are gonna be able to help with raiding and counter raiding, right? And in the meantime, do you leave somebody there? A scout. In the meantime, I think the hard thing is, like, I don't know if you can defend this fort. The only way you might be able to defend it is by, like, summoning shit and clogging up the gate.
Yeah, but the mages he has aren't the best at summoning, since it's a bunch of astral mages, right?
So I think, given, like, what Jomon's been doing, Bogarus can, like, maybe try to catch some Ryujin with PD and, like, a mage or two, and then put together a big army and go take a fight. And you can potentially win the fight.
Yeah, and if he wins the fight, he might be okay.
I mean, if you win the fight, you probably just, like, peace out.
Well, my concern would be if what ctis and Patala are doing in that situation.
Right.
Because of Patala this turn. And I see a fort with nobody in it by my largest army.
Patala has a bit of a problem, though. The birds are not dead. And the birds have already expressed that their plan to get rich quick involves attacking the monkeys.
Well, what is the situation with Phlegra?
Phlegra has a non-aggression pact with Calum now. They peaced out.
Their province is back, or did they give up on those?
No, these are going back to Calum. I think this whole row. So
wow, really well recovered then.
Yeah, because ctis and Phlegra bumped on Calum's capital. Then ctis rode out and crushed the remaining army that came in to reinforce the Phlegran position on the Calum cap. Crushed that, and then Phlegra's like, okay, we can peace out.
Right, so they only got one fort out of the war. Phlegra,
right,
anyway.
But it was a really nice fort.
That's good enough.
Yeah.
All right, so that's an interesting. Yeah, then for Patala, that's an interesting position, and for ctis, in fact.
Right.
Have Calum and ctis had talks yet? I don't know if we know.
Calum indicated their intention was to take back the land that Calum had raided from them, then kill the monkeys.
Right, because if I'm Calum, that's a pretty vulnerable looking fort from ctis there.
Yes, I would be eyeing that rather greedily myself as well.
And then you just sweep east and you take all the Patala provinces.
Yeah.
Maybe with ctis at that point. I don't know. So yeah, it's interesting because everybody seems to be at war with each other over there.
Right. It's a little bit of a clusterfuck.
Yeah, because ctis is at war with Bogarus and Calum. Calum's at war with Patala and ctis.
Right.
And Patala's at war with Bogarus and Calum. So they're all at war with each other.
The tricky move here, I think, is that if Patala moves an army here, it's going to be very hard for Bogarus to knock them off. Like, I think this army might, because these Bandar have pretty good siege strength, 2.3. I think this army actually could one turn pop this fort.
Right, and he can reinforce it pretty quick. Are those independents or mercenaries that he has on the throne?
I don't know. Mercs.
Yeah, that's not the greatest reinforcements then, but
right.
The issue is if Bogarus moves south to defend that fort, he can't simultaneously move to defend the other fort,
right,
or Death Ball against Jomon.
I think that's actually the shitty thing for Bogarus is he has enough to defend his capital, but he doesn't have enough to defend now these forts easily, right?
Yeah. So that becomes the challenge.
Yeah.
And I think you can retake the forts if you win a big fight, particularly with Jomon, who seems to have just more stuff in general.
Yeah.
So if they can take a good fight against the Jomon,
Right.
then back in it, they can start thinking about raiding a lot of land back, retaking any forts they might have lost at that point. It also
Yeah.
will depend on what Satis does. And
Yeah.
honestly, they've got to come up with a way to get back in it from their perspective as well. So it's going to be interesting few turns for sure.
I think in this position, I think you give up this fort and plan to take it back later from from Patala. You get the mages out of here. And you do exactly what you said. You try to win a fight against Jomon, get them to peace out. Maybe you even give them this fort and ask them if they'll fuck off. And give them this fort. If you can buy Jomon out by just giving them this fort and letting them have this throne, if you can do that, then you could take this army and protect this fort. So I would first make this deal to Jomon. Can I buy you off and give you this fort? If Jomon says no, then I would ask Patala if I can buy them off and give them this fort. And then I'd go in a forever war, basically. Not a forever war, but a long war against whoever rejects my offer.
Yeah, I think it's better to send the offer to Jomon simply because they're probably going to be harder to fight in a protracted war.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas Patala is not as far into Bogarus territory, so they're mainly going to be fighting on the border as opposed to fighting in your own cap circle, which is almost all wars.
Yeah. If they both refuse you, I think you go after Jomon, try to take a fight. But you can never move your army outside of your cap circle because you have to potentially be able to come back in to defend it. And you don't even have a temple here, right? So if he takes this fort from you, you don't even lose your temple. You just plan on taking this back from Patala and hope the birds are successful.
Yeah. And they have stuff over by Satis that they're going to want to bring back, and that's a substantial number of mages and cavalry.
Right.
So if they can, I don't know if they need to delay fighting Jomon until then, but even if they delay a little bit, they're not going to get weak compared to Jomon in the situation because they're going to be bringing reinforcements. So
right. So I think, it's easy. I think one of the reasons we've had a lot of people sub out, and it's actually one of the reasons I made this, I started this like anti-dogpile map discussion and then worked on at least one version of that map, is that people from this game, every time they got 2v1'd or whatever, they kind of got pretty upset and left. And I think it's getting 2 or 3v1'd as a new player is kind of a rough thing. And that kind of, I think it even happens more in new player games than in advanced player games. People just are like, oh, let's dogpile, it's easy. And then it happens to them, and then they get their feelings all hurt. One thing I think you can do is, like, this is only a 2v1. This is Jomon and Patala attacking. Oh, it's kind of a 3v1 if you take Satis into it, but Satis isn't really aggressive, so far as we can tell. But if you just break it down into like a couple steps, like, okay, I'm going to try to have my biggest, best fight I can with Jomon, and then I'm going to come back and deal as big of a blow as I can with what's left to Patala. Like, that's like, okay, well, that's what you're going to do. It's not like some insurmountable thing you have to deal with. But
no, it's handleable.
Right.
It's difficult. It's not going to be easy, but you can do it.
Right. And, I think the diplomacy here, like, when you get 3v1, like, get out your wallet, right? Like, it might be cheaper to just try to buy somebody off than to, say, okay, we're going to throw our armies at each other. But, okay.
Yeah, and you kind of, at that point, you also have to start talking with Jomon's other neighbors, because Jomon is so big. If they have one thing to worry about, they're feeling pretty happy with their situation. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I would be part of my diplo with Jomon is like, look, dude, do you really want to eat me? You're already in position 1 by a lot. Even if you're successful, you're going to probably be too big. Like, everybody should fight you.
Yep. So it's going to depend on how well Bogarus can use their army. Even if they trade relatively even, that can still be really hurt Jomon a lot
Mm-hmm.
because suddenly one of their other neighbors starts posturing on their border and you
Right.
just lost a bunch of troops elsewhere. It can be hard to cover everything.
Right. Like maybe he could. There's a big Arco army that's for
I
some
am
reason hanging out in a.
Yeah, I noticed that. I didn't want to say anything until we
Yeah.
got there, but I saw like 300 troops in a wasteland, and I was, very concerned for a second. I
Right.
still,
But yeah, I mean, maybe you get Arco to help with Jomon. Um, and then
yeah,
you can go deal with Patala and come back and get this far. I don't know what exactly the answer is, but yeah, I think you're right. You want to be talking with Jomon's neighbors, seeing what's happening. Agartha is kind of a free agent. They could attack Jomon. Jomon actually is not terribly well prepared to defend his southern border. Um,
especially not with Bogus and the crew
yeah,
making a.
making an appearance.
Yeah,
They might have yeeted a fort here. There's a commander and a scout.
I think he was just ferrying over Ashigar as he has been
Yeah,
from everywhere, apparently.
yeah. He's
But
just bleeding or Ashigar like seeping from his pores.
yeah, just flooding the entire front with Ashigar. I
Yeah.
guess that's a tactic.
Yeah. Okay, so nothing really has happened on the Arco front.
Right.
Mm.
Besides I guess they're going after that throne with that big army, or they're
Oh, yeah, probably.
money. But if you have two ways to get to the throne, you should not be going through the wasteland
Yeah, that's probably a mistake.
with a.
I don't think there's really like if you're in your cap, I can't remember where the army was. You would want to go through this province to go if you're trying to go here to fight Jomon. If you're going to
Yeah,
the throne, you should move up here. There's no reason you should go here.
yeah, that one hurts a lot.
Yeah. Um.
Hopefully, if he's fighting anybody, he fights them within the next 10 turns.
Yeah. Hopefully he makes a play.
Uh, because that way the disease doesn't kill anybody by the time
Right.
you're fighting.
Right. Um. Okay, so I think we've covered Patala. We've covered this whole column. The Jomon column. We've of course looked at their war. A lot of the Ryujin rating has died down. He lost one, but
Yeah,
but there were a lot more. I don't know where they all went this turn.
I guess they moved back somewhere. Did he use monk or not monks, gems when he was raiding? If so, they might have moved back
Uh, he
with
might
them.
have. I can't remember actually. They weren't doing elementals, but maybe they needed them for some kind of buff or something. I don't recall.
I was wondering because the one that he lost had like 3 water gems for some reason,
Yeah,
including the one they get for free, which is another reason why Ryujin are fantastic mages, is they get a free water gem in every fight.
yeah, it's pretty sick. This fort he's got making shark warriors, and
And probably
no fort coming up here yet.
he's missing a lab there actually, which
Oh
is
yeah,
you would want one to make Ryujin.
I think he's like, okay, we're going to war. We're putting all our money into troops, right? And if with all the
Yeah,
forts he has, if he's making troops, he doesn't have any money left for infrastructure. So
I would say double Ryujin is, having 2 forts on it instead of one is so much better.
yeah, yeah, for sure. But I mean, I think it's a call, right? Like if it's gonna take you another
Yeah,
800 gold, and he's like, okay, he's probably like, let's finish this war with Bogarus first.
my counterpoint would be how quickly can you move the troops you've just made to fight the enemy versus how quickly can you move a Ryujin you've just made to go fight the enemy,
Well,
right? Like,
I think it depends, right? Because the Ryujin, you also have to wait for the fort to upgrade, and then you have to make it. It's 2 turns to recruit.
mhm.
But it depends. Like if you're talking about making stuff in this fort, okay, yeah. But if you're talking about making stuff in this fort, or like maybe even this fort, this can get here pretty quick. But yeah, no, I think you have a good point. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying I think that's what he's doing, and I think it's a reasonable thing to do. It may not be optimal, but
he, he might be missing a site on that province. I don't know how he would. I think he probably site search it with the Earth Snake, but 270 resources seems like an awful lot for.
hmm.
A lake. Oh, it's a cave.
It's a
I
cave. Yeah. I don't know
didn't
if I.
realize that was a cave.
Yeah. Okay. I don't. Other than them attacking Lemuria, which we've already covered, Abysia. They got attacked by
Almost doing
Intis.
okay on their infrastructure side.
They're
Like, I think
what?
they started pretty slow, but I think they've recovered very
Yeah.
well. Of killing Micklin helped them out a bunch in terms of getting infrastructure out.
Yeah. I'd like to see them upgrade the fort in Micklin's capital. That would be kind of nice.
Aside from invading Lemuria, I like the decisions
Yeah.
they've made.
Yeah. I would have totally gone for a throne before attacking Lemuria. Um,
And then that helps you push their dominion too. So
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when I say like shouldn't attack Lemuria, it depends. If you have all the things you're gonna need to just have a fuck you Lemuria doom stack that you roll up on their capital, like go for it, right? But if you don't, like, might not be the right time yet. Consider
yeah,
wisely.
it can be difficult.
All right. Well, I think
What,
that's it for this episode.
well, I was just going to ask about Agartha. I don't know if we even looked at them.
He's not doing anything. He's
There, yeah.
chilling. He's just making a ton of troops, but not using them.
Has he made a second lab yet? I still don't see one.
Uh,
Concerns me a lot.
no. He's got temples everywhere.
Yeah, well, it's not getting down pushed by Lemuria, I'll tell you that much.
That's true. And he's neighbors Arco. He and Arco should go on Jomon right now.
Yeah,
They should talk with Bogarus and say, "Hey, Bogarus, we'll go on Jomon if you promise not to peace out with him." Right,
yeah,
and then
if I was either of those, I would be amenable to it.
yeah,
Because they would both stand to gain quite a bit, at least one fort each.
right, and like Jomon can just buy him off too. Like he could be like, "Okay, well, Agartha, what is it going to take to get you to fuck off? Do you want this fort?" And Agartha might be like, "Okay, no, I want a fort and a piece of land." And Jomon could be like, "Okay, I'll give you a fort and a piece of land," and then we renew our nap or something, right? And then it's just these two. But I mean, even him doing that is helpful to Bogarus and to Arco.
Yeah, because it just means it's one less fort making stuff, it's
Right.
less money. It becomes harder for Jomon to fight a longer war in case that's necessary. So,
Right.
yeah.
And
Yep.
then maybe the last two could say, okay, if we're going to peace out, we peace out together. Right. So if we're going to do a thing with, if he tries to buy us all, okay, Agartha fucked us and peaced out. And, at least he got some land. Right. If we're going to peace out, we peace out together. That's kind of a nice thing to do if you don't want to. Because if you leave the other guy you're 2v1ing somebody with, and especially, this doesn't apply if the guy you're 2v1ing is like a normal player. But Jomon is like very clearly in position 1, right? So to like exit a 2v1 and leave somebody to die to position 1, sort of a dick thing. It's actually not even good for the game state. Like you don't really want to do that. Like you would probably like, hey, let's peace out together.
I would say the only reason you would do that is if somebody else is about to attack you.
Right.
Then you might have a reason to do it. But
Right.
otherwise, you're just making one of your opponents stronger when they're already the strongest.
Right.
So
Right.
it can, backfire on you pretty easy.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining me, Rob.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right. Take care. See you next time.